Hey, it's Sarah, and welcome to Spirited Saturdays. So we got a question actually in our mailbox, and we weren't really sure if we were going to answer it, but it's a really awesome question, and we'd really love for you guys to keep it on the feedback page, just because then everybody else gets to think about it and offer their opinions, and maybe it inspires some other topic or whatever. But I can understand how if someone wants to remain anonymous, or if it's something that's really long and complicated. So that's not out of the question, but it's just we want everybody involved. So yeah. So the email we got was, "Hi, I was just wondering if someone could talk about the attention from the opposite sex. By this I mean just being hit on because of your outward appearances, and not for the person that you are. I began to have eating disorder behavior shortly after puberty, and because I was very shy, I don't think I was capable of dealing with attention from the boys. I was getting from boys. This only got worse as time went on. I'm now 18, and I still feel very uncomfortable with this, but only if it is the reason I feel that guys are talking to me. Now I have a few friends who mention things like this about me, and I don't like being seen for just that. I would rather have more intellectual conversation that's not centered around looks, because it's so superficial. I guess my question is, how can you effectively deal with that, whether you're just meeting someone for the first time, or if it's the first thing they say, or if it's your friend who keeps mentioning it. When you have an eating disorder, the last thing you want to be noticed for is your body." I absolutely, totally, 100% agree. And if anybody has any tips or any advice on this, in addition to what I'm going to attempt to give you guys in terms of what's worked for me and what I'm going to attempt to discuss, please share it with us. I am not sure why I'm the one answering this. I guess because it's a major issue for me too. Okay, so boys. I can't figure out boys. I can't figure out girls either. I can't figure out myself. It's complicated. What do I find works for me? I used to party hard, and I used to party a lot. That didn't work at all. Generally speaking, I would stay away from the alcohol, the booze, and the mind-altering drugs, which you should all be doing anyways if you are on antidepressants, people. Yeah, so definitely do that, because you're not going to have a genuine, meaningful conversation or strike a genuine, meaningful friendship if the only thing that you have in common is that you were at the same club one night. In terms of when you're just meeting someone for the first time, I have generally found that there are three types of guys. They're the type that are so cocky and so full of it that they will pretty much humiliate you by saying something in public, and I just don't want anything to do with them. I pretty much ignore them. The second type, which is a majority, I've found, are incredibly uncomfortable as well. And that's something we really have to appreciate as women, is that, which is, I'm talking like from the perspective of a straight woman, obviously. I guess we just have to appreciate that they're just as uncomfortable as us. A lot of men have very similar body image issues. They just come out differently. And they most definitely have very similar self-image issues. So we just have to appreciate that they're very self-conscious too, and maybe even more so, because society expects them to have all the answers. You know, there's a lot of pressure on them. They're supposed to be the people who ask girls out on dates. They're supposed to be the people who ask, for marriage. They're supposed to do everything, basically. And I can understand how that would be a lot of pressure. So I think it's really important to appreciate that. And these guys I have found just sort of won't look at you, because they're aware you're uncomfortable with that. Like, so if they can't look at you like a person, then they just sort of look like everywhere else. And it's equally annoying, but it's really important to appreciate that they have respect for your body. You know, they don't want to stare and gawk at you, but they also don't have the confidence to look you straight in the face yet. And for those people, I generally try to give them a chance. I generally try and find what they're interested in, and I generally try and find out, you know, what they're confident in, and generally I found that works quite well. And they come around in a couple of weeks. They, you know, stop looking everywhere and at me, which is grand. And then the third type, which is, you know, the way too good to be true type, are perfect. They're real gentlemen. They manage to look you straight in the face. They manage to say the right things, do the right things. They're very confident. But unfortunately, they're usually married or pretty close to it, or gay. So, what would I do? I would do my best to try and find someone who's either a little bit older than you, or someone who is your age. I don't know how old this person is. I personally found it extremely helpful to talk to some of my guy friends who are married, and, you know, they might still appreciate my body, but they're also getting that physiological, biological need met elsewhere. So the likelihood of me being able to have a meaningful conversation with them is like tenfold compared to someone who's not getting that need met. And then you know, with exposure and trying that over and over again, you get to start to feel what a normal conversation with the opposite gender feels like when it's not directed based on appearances, and that sort of chemistry. You know, if it's a friend that you already know, and have respect for as a human being, there's no reason you can't say it. It makes me very uncomfortable, privately and quietly, and it might be awkward, but it's totally your right to say it. You don't have to spare his feelings that way. You know, you don't have to go out of your way to humiliate him, but you don't have to spare his feelings either. If it's something that makes you uncomfortable, then that's something that he needs to know, and he would appreciate knowing. If it's something who's not a very good friend or more an acquaintance, I guess you sort of play on your strengths. I have an incredibly sarcastic sense of humor. I have been known to tell people, you know, to quit breathing down my neck, or, you know, to stop staring at my boobs because they're not going to meet them. They may as well meet me first, or meet me because they're not going to meet the boobs. You know, or, you know, stop bursting my personal bubble. There's like, you know, 300 square feet here. We we each get 150. It's, you know, we all have our talents, and you just have to figure out what yours is and then play it up and use it to enforce your boundaries. And I don't know if that is at all helpful. That's what works for me, I guess. I have a TA in chemistry, and he's just creepy. And that is pretty much what I do. Or I step on his feet. You can do that too. Yeah, it's just there's ways to get it done, and it's fine. And if you're meeting someone for the first time and that's the first thing they're saying out loud, then you just don't want to be around them. And if you're meeting someone for the first time and that's the first thing they're saying right away and it's not out loud, then you want to be really skeptical, because, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it's complicated. I don't even have figured it out myself. I'm still figuring it out. But I think it's possible. And yeah, like I said, if anybody else has any ideas, comments, opinions, please put them down. I would love to hear them all. And yeah, hope you'll join me next week. Cheers.